Dan to be Severn here, former WWE superstar, former UFC champion, and here it comes part 2 of the interview with Devin Nicholas, aka Hannibal, the Animal.
I am with UFC Hall of Famer and former WWE superstar, former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he's even wrestled for Great North Wrestling, Dan the Beast Severn, and this is our part 2 interview with him. Part 1 was very successful. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm doing great there, Devin. Or I guess we're going to go twice to the well to see if we can make this one even a little bit more exciting and better than round 1.
Well, you don't have to be concerned about fighting me the next day this time, because I know you were a little nervous about stepping into the
Well, I may have some reservations on that. I need to be, how do I say, you start handicapping matches there just a little bit because, age factors alone have to do that kind of things.
But you do look great from your age. For your age, as we were talking about off camera, you're 60 now, which is amazing.
60 as of June 9th, so it's kind of like going, yeah, a recent birthday, nevertheless, but now my 50s are gone, and now I'm entering a new decade of the 60s. It's like a wow.
What's your training like at 60 compared to how it has been?
The thing, I continue to do things. The hardest part is when you're on the road. That's probably the hardest thing to do things because you don't have the accessibility of the gym that's right there. That's like, and when I'm back in Coldwater, Michigan, I've got a 10,000 square foot training facility at my disposal, less than 100 yards away from my home. So that's great for that kind of things. But when you're on the road, you can still do a lot of things. The hardest part is, do you have the motivation to do things? I was actually a little bit slower getting that down there because I wanted to do a couple days before coming on down here because I know I'm going to be on camera and you want to kind of look a bit better. You comb the hair, dust the mustache on down, but maybe do 1 or 2 things just to kind of make yourself look a little bit more presentable in the process.
Speaking of your mustache, are you aware that there's a lot of people that are like obsessed with your mustache and love talking about it?
I received some pretty funny messages, I guess they say through Facebook, or some pretty funny emails that now and then. I've had a couple strange characters though at the same token that it's kind of going time to put either block or some other stuff because they're a little out there. It's kind of like going, these are not the rapports, relationships that I'm looking for. But it's funny because a lot of times when it comes to mixed martial arts, that Don Frye, he comes up all the time there, especially in the month of November, because November, aka known as Movember, for beards, mustaches, any kind of facial hair, and the standard question comes up to me, well, Dan, who has a better mustache, you or Don Frye? I go, without a doubt, it's Don Frye. It's younger, it's bigger, it's bolder. I said, I may not be the winner between mustaches, but at least I'm the originator.
What is your opinion of Don Frye, anyways? He's such a classic fighter.
Don Frye, as a wrestler, I was coaching at Arizona State at the time. Don Frye, I always saw him in his his pre-MMA career at closing time of a few different bars where he was just starting to morph some of his pugilistic skills and stuff like that. So I knew that Don would do just fine. So when I left Arizona State to take the job let's just say when I left Arizona State to take a job at Michigan State, again that was early on in my career, but that's probably the last time I really saw Don at that point. His life went into, he graduated, went to Oklahoma, and then went to into the fire department. But after he saw me in I think UFC number 4, and then he started looking at that might be something he could do. And after UFC number 5, he definitely got in contact with me and said, "Can you help me get into this industry?" And I always say the only credit I will ever take is I helped him get his foot in the door. It's him that walks into the cage, and it's him that's got to make all these decisions. And I could be there, I could be a training partner, I can hold hand mitts, I can do whatever that is, but it's still not walking in there and doing it for him. So I say I helped him get his foot in the door. He had the ability to simply kick that door wide open and just command the sport.
Do you have any update on how he's doing these days?
Yeah, I mean, Don has gone through a lot. I think he's died at least twice on the operation table, where they had to revive him. He's not the war dog he once was, obviously. Well, but then I'm not the same war dog I was either. He paid the price, and he paid the ultimate price of competition. A lot of people like to go back and go like on YouTube and see that one match with him and Takayama, where literally they reach out, they both have cradled each other's head with what's known as a collar tie, and simultaneously they're like smacking each other just like this for, I think, 45 seconds or longer. They're just punching like this. It's almost like a game of chicken. Are you gonna give? No, you son of a bitch, you're gonna give, and they're just going back and forth like this. They both paid a price for this match. The irony to this is they both survived this match. Takayama probably, I think, somewhere in the last, I'll say, 4 to 6 months, was involved in a professional wrestling match, because they both had professional wrestling careers beyond this point. Takayama was in a professional wrestling match, a routine maneuver that went wrong, and now Takayama is a quadriplegic for life. So to think that he went into a cage and survives something as crazy as just cradling each other's head and just smacking the tar out of each other like that, and then to be involved in professional wrestling, but that's, I try to tell that to people, you have to, professional wrestling has the highest death rate of any and all professions. Now a lot of it is suicidal, but it's because of the accumulation of the chemicals. Most of them are not used to being on the road 187 dates. That's what was, last I knew, that was the standard contract for the WWE. And so they need like an amphetamine to get them up, to get them going. And then they have to go to the gym, and they know that pasty, fat guys are not exactly in demand, so now they have to go to gym. So now they're looking at steroids, growth hormones, things of that nature. Through just the sheer duration of numbers of matches, 187 matches, you obviously are going to get injured along the way. And does it really heal up? No, because you got another match this week, so you don't have no time to take off the rest. So the injuries accumulate, so now you're taking pain pills, muscle laxers, pain pills. Most pain pills are opiate type based, so now they're getting addicted to the opiates on top of that, to where they want more of this. They need a sleeping pill to put them down at night. Now you mix all those chemicals right now into any kind of party favors, alcohol this, smoking that, snorting this, and you wonder why your heart gives out. It's because it's too much chemicals in your body. And some of these guys, they just don't wake up. Whether it was self-reduced or whatever, hard to say, but there's been a lot of tragedy along the way where people who should still be here are not. And I always tell people I've outlived, I think almost 5, I believe it's 5 now of my cage fighting opponents, and almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners, and none of them were older than me. But it's called lifestyle choices. No one's going to beat Father Time, but how long did you stay in the game, and how much fun did you really have along the way, because all you're really going to take with you are your memories.
So speaking of that, we know you were natural. How do you deal with, or how did you deal in your career when you had injuries, which I'm sure you had, and keep going with your crazy schedule where you were not only a professional wrestler, but also a cage fighter and also training people?
Well, this first off, which is basically a physical planner, because there's no way I could have held all of the stuff going on at all times. Now, granted, with the new age audience, they'll say, well, you know, you have that same thing on this. I go, sure, but if I drop this, I'm screwed. I can drop this. This could even fall in water, and it will dry on up. This won't do that so well. So I'll say that, first off, I'll say I'm pretty well organized. Is there room for improvement? Oh, of course there is. I'm overwhelmed on a daily basis. I even set an all-time record for me. And this just happened less than 2 months ago. I set an all-time traveling record for myself. I took a rental car out for 6 weeks, and it had 8,800 miles on it when I left the dealership, and when I brought it back, it had just over 42,000 miles onto it, and they were just blown away. I mean, I went through, I think, 5 or 6 oil changes. One tire had to be replaced. I'm out on the road, and all I had to do is, as I return back there, drop the keys on the counter, go, thank you. But it's, they were just amazed. But I've been working with the same dealership. They did not know who I was at the beginning, and I didn't really say nothing. After my very first weekend with them, they couldn't believe how many miles I put in a weekend. And I go, where'd you go? I go, well, the easier way of answering it is, where didn't I go? I go everywhere. But the reason is not that I have a fear of flying or nothing like that. I look at that, most of these things, the equation I say, or the statement I say is, everything I do has to somehow make dollars and cents. Because it's, you know, there's so many trips I've made that, you know, flying will be a lot more common sense, but when I have to pack a couple of different duffel bags, because I don't know, I'm not a one-dimensional person. I do so many different things. You know, there's been times when I've awoken at the hotel in the morning, and I'm rubbing the sleep out of my eyes, and I'm looking around and I'm going, where am I at? And what's my function tonight? And I have to go grab my planner, and oh, I'm a professional wrestler tonight. Oh no, I'm climbing into a cage here tonight. Oh no, it's an easy day. I'm just gonna be working with a bunch of high school kids doing an amateur wrestling clinic, collegiate style. And then, oh no, I'm gonna be working with law enforcement. So I'm doing this juggling act, and I'm doing it almost simultaneously. I'm working for the UFC, but I'm not exclusive to the UFC. I'm working for the WWE, but I'm not exclusive to them. I'm working for the NWA. I'm not exclusive to them. You know, each one wanted to make me exclusive, but it's kind of like, well, what are you willing to pay me to sit home then? Well, we really don't want to do that. Well, then I really don't want to be exclusive, because I always tell people that, don't worry about me conducting myself properly. I'll conduct myself properly. I just don't have any restrictions. If you want me to simply just do nothing for you, there's got to be some type of a compensation package. But at the same token, my age, I already knew my age was against me. I didn't start a cage fighting career until before turning 37 years of age. You don't start a cage fighting career at 37. You look at walking away from it, retirement at that point in time. In the same way with professional wrestling, I started my professional wrestling career. I was WWE's oldest rookie ever at 48 years of age, but I didn't look my age, nor did I act my age, and physically what I could do and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, I already knew my age was against me, and I knew that the moment that they found out, they'll be like, oh, well, gosh, we don't usually keep old farts like that around. We get rid of them. So I just kept it to myself.
So for injuries, you just stay on it with ice and
Well,
see.
yeah, if injuries, which again, very fortunate that I really didn't have any real injuries along the way, and I defied the odds of a lot of things, because I never wanted, of course I've had injuries along the way, but I never made them public knowledge, because I simply know that I'm still a competitor. I don't want my opponents to know that my shoulder is this, my elbow is that, my neck is this, because, well, if I'm going to go out there in a mixed martial arts match, I know what I've been looking at, I go, well, these are the soft spots. Let's target these areas. Because I always say, when you go into a match, your opponent has their strengths and weaknesses. You have your strengths and weaknesses. So now you got to look at, how are the strengths matching up? How are the weaknesses matching up? Now come up with a game plan. Try to stay away from their strengths and attack weak areas. That's the only, but there's a lot of guys that can't analyze, videotape, and see weaknesses in themselves. I could tell you easy how to beat me. I know what my weaknesses are. And like I said, keep me on my feet and keep me striking because I suck at striking. So I always tell people that's the easiest analogy.
Well, I'm happy to hear that you were 37 getting into it because I'm 35 and thinking of getting into that legitimate combat sports world. So that gives me a little bit of hope.
You got margin, yes. And then, again, the other advantage you have is look at all the technology, how it has advanced. Now you can Google almost anything and see all types of cool training regiments for like Muay Thai, because I actually think that Muay Thai is a great fit for mixed martial arts because it shows you long range with your legs, thrust kicks, roundhouse kicks, knees, elbows, hands. To me, I always look at that Muay Thai as the best complement to a grappler.
I got a kickboxing match at the end of August, and I'm gonna try and enter that world.
Why kickboxing first and not?
Because I feel that that's my weak point, and I feel that if I work on that, I'll become better all around.
I will disagree. I still think that I could throw a pure grappler into the MMA world today, and they'll do fine because everyone is learning how to strike so much that I still think that you have to be within arm's distance to punch someone, and the legs range to kick and knee. Now, granted, the leg is a lot longer. I'd say that good. The only thing I actually was any good at was thrust kicks. Just if someone's getting too close and I need to kind of keep them off, just zap with thrust kicks. Roundhouse kicks, I sucked at all that kind of stuff. And my hands sucked. I never even wanted to tape my hands. I just wanted to just have gloves on just so I could be as free as possible to grip and things of that nature.
Well, I'll definitely think about that advice of yours for sure, because you're a testament to that. You can still walk.
And have a somewhat intelligent conversation.
Yes. I actually met Forrest Griffin not too long ago.
Funny guy.
Yeah.
He's great.
And he was talking about how amazing it is that the health that you're in, considering the amount of fights you've had.
But I never tried to become something I wasn't. For example, I said earlier, this is not me. I'm not that guy that's going to play the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm going to come out on a short end of stick. Just give things close, block things off, but once you throw and you miss something, I'm on you. And my thought was this: you shall never see the light of day again, because if you do, you're gonna smack me.
Right.
You know, I get one chance to get that clinch, and then I better capitalize on it.
Now, I believe you're fully retired from MMA now. You were supposed to have a highly publicized UR fight, pay-per-view fight against Ken Shamrock a couple of years ago. Could you explain what happened there?
Wow, can I really explain it? No, but I'll do my best. This company that had no knowledge whatsoever of mixed martial arts. Just think of them as a internet promotional type of company that knew nothing about athletic competition, wanted to put on this fighting, this very, very unique fighting product, because it was, what did you have? They had 5 different matches.
I actually applied to be on it to fight Roy Jones because they had that gimmick as well.
They wanted to fight Roy Jones. So
in the end, they weren't allowed to, though, because they actually talked to me and they said the commission wouldn't sanction a fan or a guy without fights fighting him, so they gave it to an MMA fighter that was like 2-0 or something.
Which, again, makes total sense.
Yeah.
But even at 2-0, and how many matches did Roy Jones have at that point in time? I mean, it's kind of going, is that even right? There was this company, when they approached me, they had no state, they had no athletic commission, they didn't have none of this type of stuff. And when they contacted me, I'm the guy that found them a state. I live between 2 states, Michigan and Arizona. I know both the athletic commissioners of it. They know me firsthand. They know that I'm not going to bullshit you. You may not like what comes out of my mouth, but take it to the bank. It's the truth. So I find an athletic commission in the state of Arizona. Very controversial. I had to sit there and talk with them for a while to say, especially when it came to utilizing a professional wrestling ring. Not a cage, but we're using a professional wrestling ring because you can still have a professional wrestling match in this, you can still have a boxing match in this. It was easier to go that route than to have a cage and to have all those other types of things take place. But it was based upon my relationship and rapport with the athletic commission that the commission basically said, we're going to do this. But at the same token, if anything went wrong, they weren't really going to be looking at the UR company people. They're going to be looking at me because, again, it's my rapport. I'll say, to kind of like fast forward it just a little bit. Bottom line, I dealt with a company that did not keep their word. They were promising me X amount of dollars to simply step in this ring. I agreed to things a number of months out. It was the absolute longest training camp I have ever done. And for anyone that doesn't know my background, and because talk about all the time, I've only done 2 true training camps in my entire MMA/NHB career, and one was for 32 days and one was for 35 days. UFC number 4 was my first one I ever went into. I did 5 days in Lima, Ohio at Al Snow's Body Slammers Gym. Now when you think about that, it was actually should have been videotaped and just released as a pure comedy, because there was a lot of funny moments into it, because I got Al Snow and 2 other professional wrestling wannabes, and they had one old pair of boxing gloves between them. So they just kept rotating the gloves. We're inside the ring, and they're trying to punch, kick, and do whatever martial arts background, whatever that they have. And I just kept staying out of range, moving in, moving out, baiting, stuff like that. And then I would get to clinches or shot right in, takedowns, jam them up against ropes and lateral drops. And I basically use amateur wrestling skills to get them down to the mat. And then once I was on the mat, I would apply amateur wrestling moves and make them scream or squawk, and that was my training camp. And, again, I always tell people, I never learned a legitimate submission technique. I never learned a legitimate punch. And even when I showed up to the UFC, they had, well, at that time, it's not known as the big weigh-in the night before the big weigh-in and stuff like that. Back then, because there's no weight classes, it was just a press conference. So we'd have whoever is the MC of the event, and then you'd have 4 athletes, 4 men on one side, 4 men on the other side, because the women were not competing at this time. And then they would simply say, well, Hoist Gracie, please stand on up. Hoist Gracie would stand on up. And they say, Hoist Gracie is this tall, he weighs this much, he hails from Rio de Janeiro, whatever, and his background is, Gracie, Jiu-Jitsu, and things of that nature. And then, he'd sit on down, then the next person, Ken Shamrock, stand up, they go to height, weight. Not that weight's made any difference, but at the same token, they wanted to show some vast differences, that you got maybe a 150-pound man that's going up against a 250-pound man. And the biggest weight difference was just over 400 pounds. Keith Hackney going up against Manny Yarrow. I think Keith Hackney wasn't even quite 200 pounds, and Manny Yarrow was 400 and some odd pounds. So there was a big, vast difference in weight classes. So I don't even remember what the original question was.
Just you were supposed to fight Ken Shamrock. It got canceled.
Yeah. So I still did my training camp, because I helped this company find a state, find an athletic commission, find a professional wrestling ring that they accept, even found them their venue. And I'm training right up to Ken Shamrock bows out less than 10 days before the show happens. This again, this UR network, they had their date set first, and it was on a Sunday. I don't know what the date was, but it was on a Sunday. And then Ken is doing some tweets of it. He's got this big announcement coming on up. I think it was going to probably be announcing us, and I didn't pay it much mind. Then it comes out that he's doing a fight on Bellator on a Friday night. And I contact the UR network. I go, are you aware that Ken is doing a fight now on a Friday night? And we're marketing our show on a Sunday. And so they get a hold of him. And this is what I call the arrogance. I don't hold nothing against somebody if you're just confident in yourself. Stupidity in other aspects, I hold that against you. But the sheer arrogance, stupidity, Ken says, just move the show back 1 week. Who are you to tell a company that you've already given your word to? And now you spell an opportunity to make some more money somewhere else. To tell a company, just back the show up 1 week. I'll fight Hoist Gracie one weekend, and I'll fight Dan Severn next weekend. Does Dan Severn have any problem with that? And that's literally what the company tells me. I tell the gentleman from UR Network, I go, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I said, but you, the company, might have a problem, because if Ken gets any of the slightest little boo-boo, automatic 30-day suspension. I go, what's that going to do to your show 1 week later? So, again, this was not being thought through. He just wants to throw an arrogant, stupid type of comment. Be that way. So, I go, you should take it just over a month, because that's the most bare bones minimum. And basically, if that's what they did, which, again, pissed me off, because now I'm losing that much more time. Because I cleared my schedule. Because I had basically kind of gone into retirement. But I went into retirement, January, I think 2013 is when I went into retirement. But I went into retirement with a clause. I simply said that if one of these three men, and rated in order was a Mark Coleman, Ken Shamrock, Hoist Gracie, if one of these three men ever pointed that up and wanted to do a match with me, I would seriously contemplate. I had to say it like that. I go, it all depends on when do they come up with this? If it's fresher, and I'm not too old, I'm not too fat, and I still might have a chance of doing this, I would seriously consider it. But if you're going to wait till I'm 65, 70, and I'm weighing 450 pounds at the point that, I don't think that's going to happen. But it's, like I said, I jumped into it. I lost a lot of time, because if this was going to be the last time anyone was ever going to see Dan Severn, by God, they're going to see the best product I can produce. It wasn't going to be Dan Severn circa at 37 years of age by any means, because each year you're losing a little bit more, but by God, they were going to see the best product ever.
So if Bellator, let's say, offered a very sizable sum of money for you to fight Ken Shamrock, would you still consider it, or are you 100% fully retired?
I wouldn't. There's no way to make sure that he would show up and stuff like that. I think there'd be just another excuse, another injury, another whatever. I'm not going to lose that kind of time left out of life. Time and life is too precious to me.
And on top of that, that company did a poor job of promoting it, because didn't they have like 200 fans or something with Roy Joyce Jr.?
I would never even work for that company again, because of them not being men of integrity, men of their word. And there's just I'd like to even mention some names, but it's kind of like they're not even worthy of mentioning at this point in time, because they just. I did a lot for that company, and they just crapped on me. And I'm thinking they would have never been able to do what they did in the first place. And then you want to crap on me. Well.
So probably if someone actually beat Roy Jones Jr., they probably wouldn't have even had $100,000 to pay the guy, because I think that was the deal.
I have no idea. I don't even know what Roy Jones was paid for that night's events, because it was supposed to be the whole theme of this was you have these 7 men, because whoever Roy Jones was fighting was not really being compensated in this pay-per-view package.
Right.
The 7 competitors, the grappling matches, I think it was Chael Sonnen versus, I don't.
May have been Josh Barnett.
Yeah, I just, but the 7 known men were going to be utilizing their social medias. But you even mentioned earlier, because this company is so disorganized in what they're trying to do, there was no time to really promote this event. There was no incentive for all of these athletes. I never end up having a contract, and that's the company's stance. And I'm thinking, yeah, I did all this work for you, the tangibles, and I never had a contract. Wow.
Now for Brock Lesnar, it looks like he's going to be fighting Daniel Cormier for the UFC heavyweight title if Cormier is still champion at that time in January when he's reinstated. I haven't talked to you. Actually, the last time I talked to you, it was when Lesnar was contemplating going back to UFC or WWE before the Mark Hunt fight, and you advised him.
Mark Hunt to get in contact with me is what but I said, I think I was talking about the strategy because Hunt, very powerful puncher, stuff like that, I defeat. Yeah. And I was saying the match could go a couple different ways. If it's from Brock Lesnar's perspective, try not to go into a striking war with Mark Hunt, you'll come out in the short end of the stick. But if you can utilize your grappling ability, jam him up against that cage wall, take him down, and Mark Hunt will never see the light of day again. The grappling is going to prevail for him. And I said, otherwise, if I was going to be coaching Mark Hunt, it would be keep on his feet. Don't try to get towards those cage walls, stuff like that, and get into a striking war. That's the 2 different perspectives I was looking at.
And he ended up taking the wrestling perspective. Yep. And what are your thoughts on? I guess there was a drug test failure, and now he's going to be given this big opportunity again. It looks like in January.
Is it right? No. But then again, I can't fault Brock Lesnar for this. I fault a company. Because if a company says this, well, by God, stand on your merits. So Brock Lesnar's just going to make another great payday. I can't fault him at all for that. Athletic Commission should step in there and do their job. You can point the fingers at a couple of people that should just do your job. They don't make double standards. Oh, it's okay for him, but not for you. That's wrong.
And what did you think about WWE not suspending him or anything when he, even though it wasn't a WWE test that he failed? I mean, no, there was no punishment.
Devin, how do I put this? Is there any other company in the world that you know of that if you have a drug problem, the company on their own dime is going to send you off, get you all cleaned back on up, bring you back, rehire you for the same salary, might even give you an incentive on top of this if you keep your nose clean, stuff like that. Not on just one occasion. You could be a 2-timer or a 3-timer that they have to send on off to get clean. There's not another company in the world that does that. The moment that you get hit, you're fired. And who wouldn't want to be in the world of professional wrestling because it's Halloween. You've got some real people involved in this, but it's Halloween. I don't think I'm bursting anyone's bubble to say that, there's a monthly pay-per-view. There are storylines that are being taught, angles that need to come about. Where else in the world, or what other industry, are some of these men and women going to ever work in and be compensated what they're being compensated? There isn't. So I don't get it. I don't get it from the company's perspective, and I don't get it from a lot of these athletes. As I stated off camera to you, professional wrestling is the absolute worst industry I have ever been involved in. Now, granted, I've met a number of wonderful individuals, but the turds and the good individuals, the turds outweigh the good individuals. I appreciate those that are good, but I'm still involved. Don't get me wrong. I'm still involved in that industry, but I try to do my own thing and surround myself with the people I want to be surrounded with.
And I got to ask you your prediction for Lesnar versus Cormier.
Well, once again, you know, Cormier's skill set has been rising. If I was a betting person, I'd be betting on Brock Lesnar. Why am I betting on Brock Lesnar? Because it's not going to matter. No rules are going to pertain to him. He can be on whatever he wants to be chemically wise. Because what are they going to do? Oh, that's bad boy again. But it's again, it's from a company's perspective. It's from the athletic commission's perspective. Is anyone going to do their job and do their due diligence? So I can't fault Brock for things, because he's taking advantage of a system that are going to allow him to do what he wants to do.
For Brock Lesnar's amateur wrestling ability, Billy Robinson, before he passed away, said he respects that he did well in NCAA competition, but he's not sure how he would have done internationally. What do you think of him as an amateur?
I mean, I don't know that. I mean, and actually, it's a great question to ask right now, because that was actually brought up in conversation this last night. I was able to spend the night at the home of Mike Chapman, and Mike Chapman is probably the best author when it comes to the sport of amateur wrestling. He's been closely associated with the Iowa wrestling program for a number of years, and I think he's written 29 or 30 books. You know, a number of them are on catch wrestling, professional wrestling, the story of Gotch. I mean, we're living in a state that where Gotch is from, and a great catch wrestler. So I really value Mike's opinions of it. So, you know, I actually learned a few things from Mike, because, you know, the conversation of Brock Lesnar came about, and he actually has a legitimate amateur wrestling background, and has done well for himself as an amateur wrestler, but never got involved in the international styles. Hard to say. I mean, I'd say that folk style, which we do here in the United States only, folk style is very similar to freestyle wrestling. It's a close association. So he might have done just fine, because it still boils down to the two ingredients: can you take people down, and can you put them on their back? And I heard he was good at taking people down and put them on their back and pin them. So I think he might have done well in it.
Now, one wrestler that didn't really do professional wrestling any good by getting into the UFC was CM Punk. What was your opinion on his fights, which I'm sure you saw?
I did see it after the fact, but I had a number of folks interview me prior to it. And I go, what is the chance to fight this? I go, I don't know. I go, I know of CM Punk. I don't know anything about his martial arts background. Hopefully, if he's going to make these bold claims, hopefully he's doing some training. Or should I put it in the words of professional wrestling? Like a promo right there. I hope you're not writing any checks with that mouth that your body cannot cash. So I guess, and obviously, when he went to withdraw some money, he couldn't cash that check. I just, like I said, I saw the match after the fact. It did not go very well for him at all in that match. Whether or not he underestimated his opponent, whether or not he was even doing any kind of remotely close of the type of training he should be doing, I know none of those factors. But he didn't do himself any good, and he didn't do professionals any good by his bold claims and then his performance.
And since George St. Pierre is from my area of Canada, I'm wondering your thoughts on him as a fighter.
George St. Pierre, a lot of times when people come up, they're like, who do you like to watch? Well, again, I always say, I'll answer it two different ways. From a personal side, as a competitor personal side, I like George St. Pierre. I said, because He trains hard. He prepares himself properly. I like the way he conducts himself. You're not going to worry about him going off and just doing something goofy, stupid, or something like that. I go, but then I'll view it now from a promoter's perspective. You need some controversy so that people want to be invested into watching this pay-per-view. So that's where you do need your guys that wear chains and howl. You got to have these characters that are big time trash talkers. You need individuals. It's just, a lot of people say professional wrestlers are so vastly different. Are they really? People take on certain characters. And if you can do this character properly, you'll make a lot of money in the process. So whether you're the character in professional wrestling, or if you're this character in boxing, mixed martial arts, Muay Thai, or any other, there's a certain people. Look at a Muhammad Ali. You know, just the way he was so good at his little rhythmic type of rhymes, and I'm so pretty and this and that, and floats like a butterfly, things like that. The guy was fantastic at what he could do. And he made a lot of people want to watch that pay-per-view. Whether they hoped he won or hoped he got his butt kicked, he sold a lot of pay-per-views. Let's face it, fast forward to the MMA world. Conor McGregor, probably the best mouth in that aspect right there as well. He was able to secure himself a boxing match with Roy Jones Jr., and he makes the biggest payday of his life, not in mixed martial arts, but in boxing. Now the thing is, I'm surprised no one basically managed him to simply say that in the event that he should lose, he should turn into a babyface right then and there, and cut a babyface promo and simply say, Roy Jones Jr., I admit that you're a better man than what I am here tonight. You beat me, and you beat me in the sport of boxing. But are you man enough 1 year from tonight to step into the cage with me and do a mixed martial arts match? I mean, literally 1 year from now, and they could have probably both walked away with an even greater payday. But now, is Roy Jones willing to risk his reputation as a boxer to do that? Well, it all depends. Does he need the money? So I don't know. Obviously that has not happened, but there is still, even now, there is a little bit of chatter of such a match taking place.
And Bobby Lashley had a pretty successful MMA career, not in UFC, but in Bellator and some other companies. Why do you think he never was picked up by UFC?
That I don't know. I mean, I'd be really just speculating, because it's, again, I like the people that they don't have all their eggs in one basket, and Bobby was one of those guys that he had a dual career going for him. I always tell people that in my career, I made more money in the wacky world of professional wrestling than I did in the real world of cage fighting. I'm thinking, to me, that's wrong. It should be just the opposite here right now, because one is, you know, Halloween, we put on our costumes and we go out there, we walk like this, we do the boasters type of days, but it's, if you do the job right, people, it's like going to the movies. You go someplace to be entertained, to get caught up into this, and it's interactive. You could be like, hey, you suck, and stuff, and people are like, shut up. And I mean, it's interactive. There's no other place you're going to get that type of interaction. And people just, for a couple hours out of their life, they want to be entertained, and that's all it is.
And Jim Cornette had his retirement match as a manager, and he chose to manage you for that, from what I understand. What do you think about Jim Cornette overall as a person, and what's your relationship like?
I did not know that was going to be his retirement match until literally he was announcing it. I knew that Jim Cornette was going to be on the show, and he was going to do managerial duty, and when they were going down to the roster of talent that was going to be on there, he basically, I'd like to be Dan Severn's manager. And I mean, I'm touched, I definitely very touched by that. Jim Cornette has played a vital role on three major interactions with me. First off, getting the NWA belt was when he was with Smoky Mountain Wrestling, his promotion at that point in time. So that was my first time ever really meeting Jim Cornette. Did I know who Jim Cornette was? Sure. I'd watched professional wrestling before. I watched that loudmouth tennis racket wielding. I mean, he was great. Even fast forward now, even to speak to Jim Cornette, as he talks about wrestling, you can simply see that the little kid that comes out into him that's so excited that the elements that he likes about it, but then he's very passionate there, but then on the flip side, very passionate, very protective of the industry on the other side, and he basically, if you're not doing your job, well, he's pointing it out to you, you're not doing your job. So I like the man. Like I said, he's done a lot for me. In the beginning with Smoky Mountain, and then again when I was with the WWF at the time, WWE now, basically being my manager. And then, he was just so beside himself because he goes, this creative team doesn't know what to do with you. He goes, you're the greatest thing that ever hit wrestling because you're a wrestler who can wrestle, Sure, I don't cut colorful promos and nothing like that. It's not my cup of tea. But I've got Jim Cornette with me. Let him do all the talking because, fast forward to what did Brock Lesnar have? He's got his own mouthpiece in the business. So,
Now, the Brawl For All was a very controversial thing, and you ended up getting out of it after the first round. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it wasn't that I got out of it. They no longer wanted my service. It was kind of unusual because the Brawl For All, again, I don't remember where we're at, but I was at one of their matches. It could have been a Monday Night Raw, it could have been a Tuesday night taping, which probably is a Tuesday night because it was a much more relaxed type of thing. The Monday Night Raws, they're all wound up pretty tight on the live shows. So probably a Tuesday. Different agents basically just gathered all the talent up into a cafeteria area and said that we've got this concept that we're going to be doing called the Brawl For All. They're talking about these boxing gloves being put on and going for these 3 rounds and boxing aspect right there, and they're like, well, everyone, we want all the talent, men talent to be involved in this, except for Ken Shamrock, Dan Severn. And I'm like, okay, it was a nice little purse that they're offering up, stuff like that. And so this goes on for several weeks that, they're doing a Brawl For All match on the WWF show, along with all the rest of the professional wrestling that's taking place. And then several weeks into this, I had one of the agents come up to me and goes, hey Dan, how would you like to be in the Brawl For All? And I'm like going, against who? How much? And they basically threw a name and they gave me a figure. I go, sure. And but when the match is done, I walk back through the curtain when the match is done. It's kind of going, well, now the same agent comes up to me and goes, well, now you're back out of it again. I walked out just for one payday and come right back in. I'm thinking, this kind of strange, but...
Because the excuse they used on TV was you didn't like the boxing gloves, so you backed out of it. That's what they had said.
Yeah, well, that's good. But what they say and what's the truth are two different things. I mean, I'll be, again, I'll be the blunt to the point. When I went out there for the first match, I should say, back up. When this road agent was asking me to go out to first, I go, that'd be fine, but I would not. I don't want to wear gloves. And he goes, well, you can't fight bare knuckle. I said, I will never throw a single punch. I will show you what a true wrestler is. I'll block and parry. I'll clinch, I'll take down, and I will show you the real ability of a wrestler. I go, it might be, you do happen to run a promotion that says professional wrestling, the marquee word wrestling. We're not talking about professional bull riding, we're not talking about professional whatever, but it's professional wrestling. I'll show you what a real wrestler can do. But, it literally, it's one of those type of things where if you could redo this, in hindsight, if I could redo that match, I wouldn't even bother talking to that road agent about that. I would have simply just, I would have went out there and I would have said something like, referee, okay, referee, take the gloves off. That was all part of the gimmick, okay? Of which he's not going to know. He'll take the gloves off. Game on. It's kind of like those sayings. It's kind of like going, well, you kind of learn this kind of stuff after the fact. To me, it's like I was trying to be a company person. You know, a company wants this kind of results. Sure, I'll go get this kind of results for professional wrestling. Now, I'm going to be in Brawl For All. Well, this is all about me winning. Nothing about how long the match is going to last, something like this. It went the 3 1-minute rounds or whatever the time was, but it was nothing. It was, you know, to me, it's still like a lackluster match because I got these 20-ounce gloves. I really can't clinch my hands, but I took Godfather down, I clinched him, I threw him down, and that was really about the extent of that match.
And they didn't have, they weren't licensed to actually hold those matches either, right? There was no commission governing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because I think Quebecer Pierre was in it, and he doesn't have vision out of one eye, so I don't think he'd be licensed by a fighting commission, right? Because you can't block.
Well, again, this was it probably fell under that category of this is professional wrestling.
Yeah.
But it's, like I said, I simply, how I figured I got into it, you know, make a long story short, is I figured that the only reason that this Brawl For All probably came about in the first place, you probably had maybe 3-4 of the executives sit around, BS with each other, saying, you know, I think this guy's probably the toughest guy on the roster. No, I think this guy, and they're like, well, let's come up with this idea. And I think that's how probably.
According to Vince Russo, who I actually interviewed, he said it was his idea because JBL had said he was the toughest guy and could beat anybody in WWE, and he specifically constructed that because he wanted to see JBL get beat. So, as ridiculous as that sounds, I guess he was the head writer at the time.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, does it surprise me? Not one iota.
And the Blue Meanie wanted me to ask you about Bruiser Bedlam, if you have any memories of him from
Bruiser Bedlam, wow, what a character. I mean, literally, the guy, very loud, very thick, could be very entertaining. Is he still alive?
He passed away, and I guess he's done some jail time over the years.
Yeah, again, I've heard different types of things. I always wondered what the guy actually did for work, something like that, but when I first met him, again, you know, early in my professional wrestling career, that guy could talk, and he was one big, thick, powerful-looking individual. But the guy was so nice to talk to in the back, but out in front, boy, what a mean, menacing individual he was. He played the role of the heel so fantastic, and I did a couple different matches with him, so it was great.
And for Jon Jones, he's such a talented fighter. What's your opinion of his various setbacks?
Wow. Sometimes you can't fix stupidity. I hate to say it, be it as blunt as stuff like that, but he had the world by the tail. And because of his own, again, stupidity, or the way he reacted to certain situations, you have a lot of people questioning. I would never question it like that before, but it wasn't like it was just a one isolated type case. Several different types of things have happened, and then he just responded poorly to these type of things, and he's his own worst enemy. Very talented. He raised the bar to a whole new dimension. That spinning back fist that he had, or spinning back elbow, that was a new dimension that was being thrown in, and now, and I'd even give credit to where that you have other athletes that are using the same type of techniques, but now are using this spinning concept to throw other types of techniques into it as well. Very talented individual, but short-sighted in other ways. And
Anderson Silva, what are your thoughts on him?
Well, I mean, it's very talented. Very talented. He had skill, which could chop people down with those legs alone. Very successful career. You know, I watched that match several times over, where he throws that kick and gets blocked and checked, and that's probably one of the ugliest scenes to see, when the leg hits and basically kind of half wraps around the leg because of the bolt just snaps like that. And then as he snaps, he's trying to step onto it, and there's nothing to step onto. It's, was he ever going to be the same afterwards? I don't know. That's up to him.
And you were known for your suplexes in MMA, and we very rarely, I can't even remember the last time I've seen a suplex in an MMA fight in recent years. Why do you think that is, that they're so rare now?
Well, first off, they're pretty hard to pull off. I mean, I always tell people my most iconic suplex ever was in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And what people aren't going to understand is, beginning of the interview, we talked about Al Snow's gym. I was just a wrestler. I did not train a single strike, did not train a single submission. I show up to the UFC. What's your martial art? I'm an American wrestler. Well, what's that going to do for you? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. So literally, as I stand in this cage, getting ready to do the very first match ever of my career, all I know is that, I was able to get after the Macias into a clinch real quick. I was doing a belly to belly. It was the first technique I tried to do. I tried wrapping around waist, and I was going to launch toward literally the first impact. He would have hit the front of his face, just a sheer back, arch back, belly, but because he had baby oil on his skin, I go from his waist all the way up to his armpits. That's what just stopped me right there, because he just like a greased pig right there. And I literally hit the canvas hard with my own head in the process, and I ate a lot of elbows from him, and I was able to scramble, get right back on up. We get right back up to our feet there, and I was able to, I don't know what to do, but I'm thinking, I'm doing something right now, and I did it belly to back, professionally known as German suplex, but in the amateur wrestling world, it's a suplex. He fed right back on up into a second one. I'm thinking, boy, you think that first one hurt? Wait until you feel the second one, because I was even more prepared, more ready, and plus he hit me with one more elbow shot, a reverse elbow shot to the head, and that's where, like, you son of a bitch. You think that last one hurt? Wait until you feel this one. And I mean, I really umped it there really quick, but as we hit, I saw him, he's kind of shaking his head on up. As we hit, I'm seeing blood drip down onto the mat. I'm thinking, is that him or is that me? Because I've been hit so many times, maybe I'm split wide open, I don't know it. Because I'm still on adrenaline dumping right now that's taking place. I go back to watch the match afterwards, and basically his own knee, he folded up so hard, his own knee came up, struck himself in the knee, and split himself open. I'm thinking, I just use it as copy now that, yes, when I debuted in the UFC, I made a rather big impression.
And there was a bit of a weight difference in that, but at that time there was no weight limit in
Correct.
UFC, and I just wanted to know, do you think there should be a super heavyweight, or have the heavyweight 265 limit extended for the big 7-foot guys and stuff to get in there and mix it up?
There should be one more category, because you do have freaks of nature that walk this planet. I still look at UFC and mixed martial arts as a whole as a nice little competition. Go to a few of these other third world countries. There are people that walk this planet as we speak, that if you were to approach them and you say, you pay me how much to fight one person, I give you group discount, because they're on the verge of extinction. Their lifestyle, what they have to do, how far they have to walk, to working with their hands and things of nature. There's a whole different mentality there. So they're mixed martial arts and UFC. UFC is just the best company name in that industry. Is it a real fight? No. Is boxing a real fight? No. Is Muay Thai a real fight? No. They all have rules and regulations. The closest the Ultimate Fighting Championship or mixed martial arts was to a real fight was back in the no holds barred days with the two rules. But because you have legislators and politicians all going after this, saying it's so barbaric, because this, that, it's the whole 9 yards, you know, concessions had to be made, and that's the product that we have today. But these are all nice little competitions.
And just to wind it down here, did you ever see Tom Lawlor weigh in for the UFC dressed like you?
Yes, well, not the night of, but I had so many people contacting me afterwards that I finally saw a clip of it. I died laughing. I see Joe Rogan, he lost it back there, watch that kind of stuff. I finally actually had a match, a professional match against Tom Lawlor, and it was great because they played my music. He dressed just like me, had his mustache over, and he had the gray shirt, and they played my music, and he walks on out, and he's strutting on down to the cage and stuff like this, and people were applauding at first, and as they got closer, I realized it's not Dan Severn, stuff like that, and then he gets out there, and then they played my music again, and then I came on out there, and it was a fun night to do a match because literally he was just mimicking everything I did, so it's kind of like going, it was a fun match, and it was a great way that's the first time I ever met the guy. But I seen that, and I thought, to me, it's like when you do impressions of other people, stuff like that, it's a way of flattery and stuff like that. That's the way people are going to go out there and just make fun of it in a more derogatory type way. But that was, I've got a good sense of humor, and I enjoyed it.
And he's not a bad wrestler too. I had a match with him last year, and it was a pretty good match.
Yeah,
couldn't pull off the victory though. I defeated him. Now for Al Snow, we've had a couple interviews with him since I talked to you. I was just wondering if you could tell us your favorite Al Snow story.
Well, probably the coolest story I can probably tell you right now was I didn't train all that long at Al's place, and I was put on a card. Now this card took place in Lima, Ohio, at the Lima Correctional Facility. So we're in a prison. My very first match is a prison show. So we're out in the yard. They got the cage out in the yard. So you have all these inmates, and then we have the correctional staff is around there as well. And everything I had learned at that point, that baby faces act this way, they're supposed to get this response from the crowd. Heels act this way, they get this response from the crowd. All of that was reversed. All the heels were being cheered, and all the baby faces were being booed in this yard show in the Lima prison. And so, and I'm actually wrestling Al Snow underneath a mask, a hood, stuff like that. And I think his character was Shinobi, like an Oriental assassin. And I would just say, it was nerve-wracking, and all the psychology that I had learned at that point all went out the window. But I'd say that was a funny story. But then just Al's got a great sense of humor to him. He's just a good person, great sense of humor. My MMA training camp alone, that was funny. Like I said, that should have all been recorded, because there's no way I should have got the results I got. Boy, if you saw the 3 men I was working out with.
Well, the benefit you have if they do a movie about your life, you look similar, and Al Snow also looks similar now. He's in the best shape of his life, so you could probably reenact it in the movie that you guys play yourselves.
I keep hoping that somewhere down the road there would actually be a movie, because I think there's enough merit to it, because of, it sounds braggadocious, but I would just tell people I'm not a braggadocious person. We just state facts. And the fact is, I have accomplished a lot of different successful things in a lot of different categories. Amateur wrestling is one aspect of what I did in the United States for folk style, but then what I did freestyle, and then when I did Greco-Roman, going to Arizona State, jumping into judo, and then going to never trained Sambo. I just simply went to the Sambo Nationals, and then out of necessity, I jumped into a tough band contest, to professional wrestling, to going over to Japan doing the UWFI stuff, to ultimately jumping into mixed martial arts, no holds barred, Ultimate Fighting Championship, no holds barred to mixed martial arts. So, seen a lot of things, done a lot of cool things, and I always tell people, for having as many matches as I have, you know, my ears still look like ears, and my nose is still in the center of my face, and the teeth, although crooked, they've always been crooked. They're still originals. You know, it's kind of good that I've been able to do all that, and now it looks like, you know, the mixed martial arts career is going to end. Obviously the amateur wrestling career probably has gone to an end, and I made my goal of way back when that I was going to wrestle till I'm 60. I'm 60. I'm like going, wow. This mean, what am I going to do next? Full contact, you know, shuffleboard or something like this? I don't know what's going to be next, but rest assured, I can't sit idle.
And final question here, what's your best advice for actual fighting that you would give to an aspiring MMA fighter?
Probably the number one advice I would give to whether it be a aspiring professional wrestler or aspiring fighter, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have mind and body going hand in hand, knowing that you have other options. I always had other options that I could do. I mean, I had, you know, ultimately I had a degree from Arizona State University for education. I could be a teacher, a high school teacher, a college teacher. So I had that to always, I say fall back onto it, but at the same token, I started teaching the sport of wrestling between my freshman and sophomore year. You know, so I was 1971 time period is when I started teaching this. 1981 is when I walked away from Arizona State with an actual teaching certificate that says, hey, you are officially a teacher. A decade after I started doing it. Just, you know, I'm going to go off a different tangent, but we live in this world, especially today, we live in this high-tech world. The security anymore of you working for a company 30, 35 years of your life, being at the same company and retiring with a gold watch, is no more. These major companies, they're either being sold off or they're going belly on up, and you're screwed at that point in time. So even there's no guarantees. You have to become a lot more versatile type of an employee, and you have to look for other opportunities along the way. Because if you have you might have your normal job that's keeping the roof over your head, food on the table, but maybe I could start a side business over here doing this. Like professional wrestling, cage fight, I always tell guys, look at that. I always looked upon it really as a hobby. It was a well-paid hobby, but it was a hobby. I don't have a long career into it because I'm too old. We started interviewing and I go, time was against me. They didn't realize how old I was. UFC thought I was younger. They said this. So when they would, you know, I just went along with the plan. Just go, it's okay if you want to put me out there as, you know, 35 and stuff like that. That's fine.
Now, I know you have social media. You want to tell us where people can follow you on social media if they're not following you already?
Probably just the best way is just at the website, www.dansevern.com. Severn spelled S-E-V like Victor, E-R-N like Nancy, dansevern.com. That's where I have all my social media listed, and it's the best way of getting a hold of me. I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. That's probably the best way that I post things there. You know, when it comes to all this Snapchat and Twitter and things of that nature, I'm just not that good. I think my Twitter is somehow associated with my Facebook, so that each time I do post something goes out on Twitter. But you know, or Snapchat, this could be for Twitter. I'm not going to sit there and take a picture of my meal and post it and send it out to people. when people do that to me, I go, are you kidding me? Delete. I'm like, rest assured, Dan Severn is not that bored in life that I care about the meal you're about to eat. Unless it's like an extraordinary smorgasbord and you're going to eat it all yourself. I might be impressed with that at that point in time, but you know, your typical, oh, this is what I have for breakfast. This is what I have for lunch. Whoop-de-doo-dah.
Yeah. And you actually sell 8x10s on there for people that want.
Yeah, there's on there. It will be undergoing a major overhaul here, probably next 60 to 90 days, because it needs some upgrading, and there'll be some more videos being put on there. Because I do have a number of DVDs that just have not been posted up there yet, and knowing that you know, evolution going with the times, will I continue to sell DVDs, or will there be something put on there to where now you just put in your credit card and you download whatever at that point in time? So I'm trying to get up a little bit more with the times. But yeah, there's t-shirts, there's 8x10s. When people, I say look at the website, but then simply just, my email address is right on there as well. Just contact me, because some of the photos are out of stock, and I have other photos that are not even up there listed. So when orders come in, even when an order comes in, I just say, sorry, we're out of that one, but we have several other that are not listed yet. I can email them, because I at least I'm smart enough. I know how to send those back to people. So yeah, I do have a number of things that people can pick up, and but the one thing I'm kind of surprised about is I don't get too many people that order my poems. I'm thinking, wow, what's a guy with the ring named the Beast, and no one's buying my poetry? What's wrong with that here now? Huh?
Well, I really appreciate that you spoke with us for this interview. You're my favorite MMA fighter of all time by far.
Is that because of my goofy, charismatic character off screen?
I think it's just because you were willing to take any fight, and you didn't care if you had a quarterman or a manager or not. You would just show up and fight, and you did great, and you're still walking around fine at 60 years old, so that's amazing to me. You don't appear to have any brain damage either, which I've talked to a few guys. What's his name? Gary Goodridge. That's a sad story. So you're a very impressive individual, and if there's anything you want to say to close this off, you can close this off for the fans.
Again, this is our second time that we've had a chance to do an interview. You've got a great story yourself, and need to. You should utilize that for other individuals of what you had to go through and stuff like that. So I like associating with good people. There's other people that have asked me for interviews, stuff like that. That's like going, I don't know if I can work in and stuff like that. So I enjoy doing things and work with people that I'd rather keep into my circle. Others kind of like going, flush them down the toilet. Turds, be gone.
Well, thanks a lot, and hopefully down the road we'll catch you for a part 3.
Sounds good.